All right, let's take a little bit of time to learn the very, very basics of SketchUp. So the first thing, if you haven't already done this, is we want to sign in, even if we've never used it before. So click in the upper right-hand corner, sign in, and we are going to wait for it to load. And this time you want to sign in with your Google account. So sign in with Google. And you may have to type in your credentials. In this case, I don't think I need to, so I'm going to click on my name, and up will come the software. Now, I know I'm signed in because if I click here by this person, I see my name there. So if you don't and it still says sign in, try it again. So now we're ready to start modeling. So click on Start Modeling. And here's where you may have to be patient. Depending on the time of day, how many people are using SketchUp at once, it tends to slow down at times and load. So this is kind of its loading screen. So if you get this, be patient. If it lasts more than a few minutes, you might want to just kind of refresh your page. But we're going to go ahead and eventually land on a home screen. Okay, you may not have a home screen if this is your first time using it. You may have to agree to the terms of service and choose Start Modeling again. But eventually you'll have a home screen and you'll see any previous work here. So I'm going to go ahead and create something new. We're just going to practice something very, very basic. So I'm just going to patiently wait for my workspace here to show up, and there it is. This guy here, the only purpose of this guy is to kind of give you perspective of how big the things are that you're making. You'll notice that we have a green line down here, we have a red line here, and a blue line. The green and the red line are the X and the Y axis, okay? And then they're more on the horizontal plane, whereas the vertical plane is the Z axis here. That's what gives us the three-dimensional look, okay? So let's start making something. We're gonna start over here with the rectangle tool. So go ahead and click on that, choose rectangle, and we're going to start right down here in the origin. That's right where all the different axes meet together. So I'm going to click, and I'm not even holding down my mouse. I'm just moving it to the side. In fact, I'm letting go completely. But you'll notice that the dimensions down here keep changing as I slide it. If I want to set those dimensions, I'm just going to let go of my mouse. The tendency is to want to sit here and click here. Notice how nothing's happening though. That's not how this program works. You just simply let go of your mouse and start typing. So I'm going to type in 15 feet, which is an apostrophe, comma, 10 feet, and hit enter on my keyboard. And you'll see that it has made this little rectangle, okay? Let's look at how we can pan around and orbit here. So over here, we have our orbit tools. It's already set to orbit, but just in case yours isn't, click on orbit. Now when you hold down the mouse key, you can see this is actually about a 15 by 10 foot rectangle, and I can look and hover over it and orbit and move it wherever I want it. I can also click here and choose the pan tool, also very useful. This can slide it into place in case I need to move something out of the way. We have our zoom tools. This one here is really useful, and you might find it helps you out of a bind in the future. This is a zoom extents button. So let's say you're zoomed way out and you're like, wow, what happened to all my work? It's like not there. It is actually there. You're just zoomed really far out, almost like you're in an airplane. To get back to where you need to be, click on this button and choose zoom extents, and it'll pop you right back down into place. Okay, so it's very useful. If you're using a mouse, you have an advantage because these things are already there. If I want to zoom, I just scroll my wheel like this. If I want to orbit, I just click on that scroll wheel, hold it down, and I can orbit like that. Okay, so there's a very big advantage to having a mouse as usual for CAD. All right, so let's give some three-dimensional look to this. I'm going to click on this tool here. This is one of the most commonly used tools in this program. That's the push-pull tool. So click on that, and we're going to click somewhere in this rectangular space. That's the only geometry on this page that I can use. So I'm going to click there, and I'm going to simply start moving my mouse up. So if I want a specific height, which I do, I'm just going to type it in. So I'm going to let go of my mouse and type in on my keyboard 7 feet and hit enter. So now I've got a 7-foot tall box, all right? And that looks about right because it's a little bit taller than this gentleman here. Now, if you don't want this guy on your screen anymore, you can certainly click on him and delete him if he's bothering you. Again, he's just for perspective, okay? So let's show how we can use that same push-pull tool to push something through this entire box. All right, so I'm going to change to the circle tool. So click on the rectangle tool and change over to the circle tool. And just somewhere here over near the side, I'm going to click, move my mouse out, and you'll see my radius in the lower right-hand corner keeps changing. I'm just going to let go of my mouse and type in 2 feet. So 2 apostrophe enter. Okay. Now we want to make that hole go all the way through this figure. So I'm going to go back to the push-pull tool. Okay. And I'm going to push this through. Now, I could keep going way past it, but I don't want to do that. What I'm going to do is hover near this edge here, and it says on edge. And what that means is the hole's going to go through all the way to that edge. And that's what I want, because now if I orbit, you'll see that I pushed it all the way through. Okay. Let's look at some other interesting features. Let's take the pencil tool right here. They actually call it a line tool. I call it pencil tool. But click somewhere over here off to the side of your circle. And I'm going to make kind of like an angle here. But what I'm going to show you is a cool feature. If I move down this line, notice it'll turn green right there. That means I'm at the midpoint between the top and the bottom. That's kind of useful, and you may use that in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and click that midpoint. Now, if I orbit a little bit to the side, I can take my push-pull tool and I can push that little triangle through. Notice how I can choose different things to push-pull now, but I want to just push that triangle. So I'm going to click and hold. I'm going to move it till it says on edge and then let go. And now it's gone. Okay, let's do a little bit more. Go back to this corner here. I'm going to use this arc tool. Okay, and I'm going to choose this one here, the 2-point arc. Okay, so what that means is that you need to choose 2 different spots, and it's going to make an arc from those spots. So I'm going to go from this edge here, somewhere down here, maybe like there, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So I'm going to move it, I don't know, about here. No particular reason, it just looks good. And I'm going to click. Okay, now if I go back to that push-pull tool, I can now push that through, and it actually does the same thing on edge. It cuts it just like the other side, but this time it's a curve. So it's kind of cool. I can also use my line tool to make a polygon. And notice how I'm hitting endpoint, 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 endpoint. You can make any shape you want, but make sure you always finish at the very end like that. Okay, now I have a complete closed polygon. I can go back to my push-pull tool, and I can pull that out a little bit. Okay. I can add something to the top. Let's do something different. Let's go to the polygon tool, and I have it set for a let's see, an octagon. No, I'm sorry, a hexagon, which is fine. You can change the number by hitting the control key, and you can choose different numbers or control plus, but I'm gonna just leave it as a hexagon. Click, and I'm gonna pull that up a little bit. Okay, so those are some basic things. You can play around with the program however you'd like, but before I do anything else, I wanna save this. So go ahead and click the save button here. If it has this message here, purge all, go ahead and say yes, purge all. It's not going to hurt anything. And you need to tell it where you want it saved. We want to save it in our SketchUp folder, which is in the cloud, saved by SketchUp. So click there, and you may see your old work here if you have any. And down here at the bottom, I'm going to type in nonsense object. You can type whatever you want. It's not really anything specific. Hit save here. And now we're going to go back to our home screen. Now, back at the home screen, mine shows up right away. If for some reason yours doesn't, there can be a delay in when your object shows up here, but it's there. Anytime you're back at your home screen, you want to make sure your object's there. Then it's safe to close your Chromebook. If at any point you come in and your work is not there, chances are that means you didn't save. So make sure you save carefully. If you can't find it on the home screen, sometimes you can hit Trimble Connect and choose your SketchUp folder, and you'll see it there. As long as you see it, it's safe to close your Chromebook and you're good to go. So I hope you enjoy the program, work around a little with it, and hopefully you'll learn a few things, and we'll use it to do future things like this practice bedroom and some other things. These are 8th grade work, but you'll get the hang of it. So have fun with it.